Hey, welcome to the couch. I'm your host, Agent R. This is the Cup of Hawk Joe show. And we've got a lot to talk about, from a new ban list to the return of Invoked. Let's get to it. All right, let's start out with the latest news. We've got the Meta Championship Series 37, which had the return of the side deck. And as you know, the side deck plays an integral part in the contest, so much so that decks that are overpowered on a normal basis, like Ritual Beasts, suddenly find themselves struggling a lot in a side deck where they can be countered. Now, as I said, starting out, Invoked Neos actually returned to the tournament to win it all. It was a mirror match in the end, and Shao's took the championship home. And get this, he never topped in the MCS before. He never topped before. Great duelist, but that was one of his goals, as he stated in multiple interviews. And if that's anything, now is the time to prove your meta. If you've never topped before, never gotten in the top 32, top 16, top 8, top 4, whatever that case may be, you actually can do it. You need to prove your meta. Get in there, build that deck, and make it happen. Now, what was surprising is the return of Neos, and really it has everything to do with Axel's skill, Fire Reload, being able to take Pyro only cards, send them back into the deck, and then draw as many cards back, or 2 cards. So usually that's how it would happen. You put 1 back, get 1, put 2 back, get 2. But the thing is, you know, with the new ban list, which the tournament was running prior to, the MCS is always ahead of the curve in that way. You usually see the build with 1 invocation and 2 Alistairs. And, you know, with the skill, you essentially are, you know, just wiping out the nerf that Konami did before. I can't remember. I don't know why the name of the skill isn't coming to me right now, but you use Bandit Keith. And Konami went in and actually changed the skill and pretty much nerfed it to where it wasn't being run anymore. And Axel just swaps that out, especially with the fact that, you know, if you just build with the new fire support that came in the latest box, Rage of Volcano, and the new cards that came with Axel being released to the game, it's actually not that hard to set it back up, especially with karma cuts. And at that point, it just came down to the execution of the player. But moving along there, and congratulations to Shao's for winning that matchup. We also have some events happening right now. So especially if you're a free-to-play player, you need to be getting in there. The Duel Carnival has returned. It's sort of like a Team Wars, you know, action where you have certain cards, monsters that get a boost. So get in there. I think like there's a 300 gems on the line for just completing all of the missions that you can do in the event. Some new cards, Skull Flame and the Supersonic Skull Flame are in there. So there's some effect damage happening. There's another bingo mission that gets you another 200 just for completing all of the sheets. Kite, the character, or Kaito. There's some leaks happening for the roaming event. I'm sure that you've seen some of the activity or the music. You know, just for the character that's roaming, there's a lot of cards that were leaked. I mean, like a full-on mini box type worth of deck support for this one character. It's actually pretty nuts. But I know they're trying to push more of the XC format, trying to push more of that into the meta as the weeks ensue. From what we've seen so far, especially with the return of Invoked Neos and Fusion, it doesn't seem like enough of a nerf or a power creep for Xyz summoning to actually get in here and make any damage outside of Noble Knights. So if you're looking for an Xyz deck that you really want to get in there, Noble Knights is by far the most successful one thus far. There's some free to play builds. It is something that you need to pay for. It's a structure deck. At optimal, you buy 3 of that structure deck. But take a look at that. We can put some stuff in the Discord as well. Check out the link in the description below in the show notes for this episode, where you can find some other goodies and some content for other deck building as well. But with that said, the ban list is official. So, Purgatrio is out the window. Purgatrio. I wish. Cocytus is out the window. Dark Magician has suffered. I'm sure you'll find on the ladder with some type of build. But Dark Magician is out the window. Shiranui is just not the same Shiranui. But I expect people to be able to try to make that competitive again. And bring it up to maybe at least top 8. We'll see. And it's just a really, I think it's up to be a very interesting and fun format. Now, with that said, there are a few decks that I think stand a cut above the rest, or will be very driven to just sack everything in its way if you are not set up to prepare for the meta. And just a few moments, we're going to go right into a break so I can go ahead and get that set up. But we're going to go ahead and jump right into the tier list. We'll be right back here on the Cup of YuGiOh show. All right, we're back with the Cup of YuGiOh show, and we are talking the current latest tier list as of the last MCS 37, and sitting atop, a cut above the rest, is Desperado. Now, if you have not run into Desperado Barrel Dragon, you will, and you need to be prepared. Dark Machine, able to be summoned on the destruction of a face-up Dark Machine on the field. When it is sent to the graveyard, it can search for another coin flipping monster in the deck. I believe it's just monsters. 2800 attack. It is a powerful contender in the meta, and the way Desperado is set up, it is really set up as a counter. Right? You see variants that have counter traps. You see variants that just focus on destruction. And we'll get into some of the other little fishy activity that goes on in Desperado. But Desperado is a contender. I do agree that Desperado is tier 1. You have to have some strong plays. You have to understand the deck to be able to get around it as much as possible. Will you always win against it no matter what your perfect build? No. But if you're prepared for it, you can get in there and just shut it down. Now, tier 2, and I'm just going to preface this, I'm not too sure about some of these that are in this category. But in tier two, Invoke Neos, Noble Knights, and a Ritual Beast. Now, the only reason I said that is because Invoke Neos is sitting in there at tier two, and I think that's I'll say it's because of past Invoke Neos and the fact that it just won the Meta Championship Series. Now, that said, I don't think it's that strong as it used to be. In other words, it's not as aggressive. It definitely takes a more defensive role, and that's because of the current limited list and semi-limited list. I'm not sure if I want to leave it at tier two. I feel like it's tier three in my heart. I think people are just surprised by its return. I know everybody talked about it when Axel came, but everybody was just surprised by its return and not necessarily knowing how to counter that. Now, it's like I said, me personally, I have it at tier three. I think it could climb, to be honest with you, even from tier two, just because if Fire Kings actually takes off, if Hazy Flame actually takes off, if a lot of these things take off, if Battling Boxer Veil takes off, then you will always have Invoke Purgatrio fodder, unfortunately. Noble Knights, Ritual Beasts, you know, I think it's the long game for me that I'm gonna say, okay, I accept that at tier two, because the longer the matchup goes for either of those decks, if you don't shut that down sooner than later, you are going to lose. They're just gonna have too much in the graveyard. They're gonna have too much to be able to move back and forth to float into, and it's just gonna be too much of a bother. In tier three, forever faithful Blackwing, Blue Eyes White Dragon, Cyber Dragon, and Witchcrafter. Now, I know a lot of people that I've been filling out from looking at different things online. A lot of people are like, okay with the rest of them, but Witchcrafter gets so much hate. And I respect the tier three, okay? I've been thinking about it, been mulling it over. I respect the tier three. And here's why. Most people still get bodied, absolutely bodied by a Witchcrafter. It's not about turn one, it's not about turn two. Witchcrafter can go the distance. And I mean, if you're not playing some meme card in your side deck, what are you gonna do when you're facing Madame Vere and the player has like 6-7 spell cards in their hand, or even worse? Like, there's nothing you can do once that board gets locked. And I will argue the only way that they're probably in tier three and we're focusing on tournament play here is because of the side deck. If there's no side deck, Witchcrafter jumps right up there. I would argue probably back up even into tier one. It is just a mess to deal with. Karma Cut only slows that deck down because they're able to reach into the banish pile and just bring that stuff right on back to the board. So, I mean, that's where I have that as far as the tier list. Now, you know, the funny thing about the top player council, the TPC of DuelLinksMeta.com, the group of high level playing individuals, they're the best of the best. That's how they get into the TPC. They're the NWO of the Duel Links community at large, right? They're loved by many, hated by many. Hate is a strong word, but some people are really passionate about their decks, and when it's not tiered at all, they throw a lot of shade toward the TPC, right? But sometimes just because you're really great at playing does not mean that you're necessarily great at the front office. Hence Michael Jordan and the Hornets. So when it comes to it, it's not a rule set. It's not the end all be all. Just see what they have to say about it. Think about the cards that you have, and man, just make your deck happen. Just make it happen. All right, when we are coming back, let's go ahead and do a heat check. We got a lot to cover about the state of play, so let's get in there. This is the Cup of YuGiOh show. Here at the couch, you are rocking with Agent R, and it's heat check time. So let's go ahead and get started with coins. How about some coins? Now, what we're talking about in particular is the power of the Desperado build. It can be argued that without the coin flipping, it's like, all the coin flipping support, Sartorius, the master of destiny skill, that Desperado is not much of a threat, but it's the coin flipping right now. The community is heated about the amount of duels that are completely stolen because of 50-50 random, no skill whatsoever coin flipping, and a lot of people just don't want to see it in Duel Links. And you tell me, are you okay with it? Are you okay with the coin flipping or not? It really doesn't matter what I'm thinking about it. It's what you think about it. And if you've built up your arsenal, if you have a combo crazy deck and it loses to one card that flips a coin, are you okay with that? One of those is Misjudge. Summon it to the field. It's a fiend. It's got 1800 attack. Not too easy to swing over. It automatically, when a card on your side of the field is activated, it tries to negate the effect. It lets it activate, even lets the card resolve, but just at resolution is when it'll flip the 2 coins. And if it's double heads, then it will negate the effect. Now, you have a 50-50 chance on each of those coins, but if you summon Misjudge turn 1, she'll give you heads or tails. And what happens is, with the Master of Destiny skill, the first 3 heads are guaranteed. So you have to creatively find a way to play around that, or Misjudge just completely wrecks your opening strategy. You okay with that? A lot of people don't seem to care about Misjudge. They'll deal with her. They ain't really feeling her. But the card that has garnered the most attention, the card that haunts at night, the card that you better not say 3 times in front of the mirror in the dark, is head judging. Flip this continuous trap face up. Your opponent wants to activate an effect. Wait. Opponent, call heads or tails. If you get it wrong, that effect is negated. Think about that. You have the comeback player of the year. You're using Yami Yugi and you're like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. Activate Destiny Draw. Okay? You activated Destiny Draw and you're like, I'm about to pop off. I've got some cards in the grave. I'm about to go ahead and use, whatever combo. Um, Magicalized Fusion. Let's go with that. And you know that you can get out Quintet Magician for game. and, and head judging says, try me. Are you okay with that? Well, some are not. And they're making beautiful cases for why this card not this why this card shouldn't just be limited, it should be outright banned. Banned. The way of Cocytus, the way of that grass looks greener, in that way of Cyberstein. Get it out of here. And it's really tough. I mean, I've faced it, I've used it, and when you know that you can make that comeback and it literally comes down to a coin flip, it stings. It really stings, okay? But the athlete in me from all of the years of athletics and little league and high school and all that stuff and uh, individual sports, just competing in, you never part of me just wants to say you never lose the game on the last play. You just don't. Maybe it's a move at the beginning, maybe it was your opening hand, maybe Cosmic Cyclone, another back row card that was face down instead of the head judging. Most people don't run it at 3. Most people, I have now say most people don't run it outside of that deck. Most people only run it at 1. So that means that they're usually not even going to have it in hand. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what Konami will do about this card because the card is not new. The card has been here. The card was in previous Desperado builds. And nobody cried about it then. So I'm not sold on the idea of just outright banning it. And that's what I'll say about that card. Didn't say anything about, coin flipping or anything like that before, or, misjudge, but head judging just doesn't, for a championship game or whatever the case may be. I mean, if it's heads, it's heads. And they can't change it. They can't affect it with Master of Destiny. It's not like you just spam Time Wizard on the board and then you can guarantee the heads and blow up the field. That's something that can be worked. There's no interaction for it except here you are, opponent. Guess correctly. I'm not sure what they'll do about the card. It's been there. I know Konami must have the Joey nostalgia. Joey would be proud of the card. I mean, it's a gamble. It's all or nothing, and that's usually the only time. Usually, people try to hold off from using it until the very end. So, man, I'm not sure. The last card I want to talk about in that build that I actually think is busted is Super Team Buddy Force Unite, right? You know, flip it over, call a type. Usually in this build is going to be a machine, you know, and somehow get a Desperado back on board, even though you just got rid of it. You got rid of the 3 coin flips, you got the 2800 beat stick out of the way, and then they Super Team Buddy Force or some other crazy play. And in that build, it's just degenerate. There's no way to cut it. If I'm complaining about a card in Desperado, it's Super Team Buddy Force Unite. You can have 3 of them in there. The synergy in that deck with that card is out of this world. That, I think, is what makes that deck overpowered. Yeah, misjudging in the gates, head judging, the consistency of Super Team Buddy Force Unite when you get rid of Desperado, they get to draw another coin flipping monster, then put that Desperado back on the board, or some other kind of play. I'll tell you one that's even nastier, right? And that's the World Legacy Chalice, because it's a dark machine. So, if they get rid of your Desperado, or are trying to, and they're targeting it, flip over Super Team Buddy Force Unite, put the Chalice, I think that's it, the Chalice on board, and let that sit there in defense. That way they can't synchro summon, they can't fusion summon, they can't exceed summon, because that card will send itself and that newly summoned monster to the graveyard, and then you can just bring that Super Team Buddy Force Unite back out, bring that Desperado back out, go into more plays. So again, I think that's the real brokenness of the card. I think it's only a matter of time before these high level players, these creative players, get out there and just, abuse the card. Now, last but not least, we've got some other notes, and I want to go in because I am so hyped. This weekend, Triamid won Meta Freakly. Fire King won, I think from Small Cheese. Fire King deck won the Sunday Battle Phase. I absolutely love both of those decks. Have the full builds of both of those decks. Love those decks. So I am super excited to see them topping tournaments. I want to see more of these cards in tournaments. I think they are great tournament decks. Fire King is newly explored. I've got a video on the channel about an old build. That should give you somewhat of an idea of what the deck can do. I should probably just upload a new one, to be honest. But, shout outs to those two decks and the players that ran them. Congratulations on your creativity and taking a chance on some non-meta play. And that's what I'm talking about. They are proving their meta. You win a tournament, that's your meta. Okay? You're topping, that's your meta. And I hope that, just encourages other people to get in there, get in the lab, and know what the top cards are that are being played in Duel Links. And to be honest with you, build your deck around those with whatever you want to play. Just be mindful of them, right? Be mindful of Cosmic Cyclone. Be mindful of Karma Cut. That's the kind of stuff you need to think about when you're building your deck. And to be honest with you, I don't care what you build. I think you can get in there. Now, last but not least, I just wanted to touch base. I haven't played the game, but one of the largest releases in a while has dropped, Cyberpunk 2077. And I'm getting a lot of mixed reviews about this. I've heard that it was like review bombed, that people are saying it's a letdown, that people are saying it's unpolished. Like maybe, play the old video game, the game dev, work on the polishing. It looks like a mix between like an RPG like Borderlands and something else like Call of Duty. I don't know what's going on. Like all the stuff has looked cool, with all of the, of course, press material that's been put out. It's made its money, of course. And so that's why I'm not sure if the letdown or the anger of all that stuff is, does it really matter for the developer, because they make their money up front. It's not like you can take the game back. Not that I'm aware of. But tell me, what is good with Cyberpunk 2077? Are you okay with it? Do you love it? Is it a letdown? I have a copy. I haven't played it yet. A little busy, with all the different stuff, and all games always take a back seat to Duel Links and Pokemon, trading card game online, right? Love card games. But I'm surprised. I think it's a game that people love to hate, and I'm still gonna play it. I probably should not have looked at any of the material about the game before I actually played it, right? Like reviews, any of that stuff. because it's holding me back. Like, it really is holding me back. I don't want to sink hours into something that in the end is just not that great. You know, with the you know, actors from Hollywood and all the stuff. And I understand that the game took a long time to bring to fruition and get out there successfully marketing. I do want to shout that out. I think they spent like half of their budget on marketing as much as development, which is crazy. But again, everybody's talking about it. No matter if it wins or loses, it's in the media, it's making it sales, so it worked. But you let me know down in the comments below, have you played Cyberpunk? Will you play Cyberpunk? And if you have, is it a letdown or is it not? But that's all I have for you today. These are the notes. And I just want to thank you for hanging out with me, Agent R, on the Cup of Hawk Joe show. Until next time, prove your meta. We out.